She met him at 24. He was charming, confident, the kind of person who made you feel like the most important person in the room when he looked at you. She thought she had found someone who finally understood her. Within 6 months, she had moved cities for him, left her job, left her friends, left everything she had built, because he told her that's what love looked like. That's what commitment meant. That's what a real partner did. So she did it. She spent the next 4 years pouring herself into the relationship, paid bills when he was in between jobs, covered rent when he had a bad month, defended him to family members who saw what she couldn't, made herself smaller so he could feel bigger. She stopped going to the gym because it made him insecure, stopped talking to certain friends because he didn't like them, stopped wearing certain clothes because of the arguments it would start. She didn't notice it happening. That's the thing about this kind of loss. It doesn't hit you all at once. It's slow. A little piece of yourself at a time, until one morning you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person looking back at you. And then one day she found the messages. Not just one, not just one person, years of it, right there in his phone while he slept. She didn't scream. She didn't wake up. She sat in the bathroom on the floor for 2 hours, completely silent, because something in her already knew. She had already known for a long time. She just hadn't let herself see it. She left the next morning while he was at work. One bag, that was all. Here's what nobody talks about when this kind of story gets told. The betrayal isn't just what he did. The deeper wound is what she did to herself in the process. There's a psychological pattern that explains exactly how this happens. Psychologists call it self-concept erosion. It's what occurs when you spend enough time in a relationship where one person needs, moods, and validation consistently override the other person's sense of self. You don't lose yourself all at once. You lose yourself in small traits. You stop doing the things that make you, your hobbies, friendships, boundaries, opinions, because keeping the peace feels safer than keeping yourself. And slowly, the version of you that existed before that relationship starts to fade. The manipulative partner doesn't have to force this. They don't even have to be conscious of it. They just have to make their discomfort loud enough and their approval feel rare enough, and you will reshape yourself trying to earn it. This is why so many people in these situations describe the same thing afterward. They say things like, I don't even know who I am anymore. And it's not because they're weak, but because identity without reinforcement quietly dissolves. The part that doesn't get said enough is what happens after. So she spent the first 3 months after leaving feeling like she had failed, like she had wasted her best years, like something was fundamentally broken about her for not seeing it sooner. But here's what's actually true. She didn't miss the signs because she was naive. She missed them because she was loyal, because she genuinely believed that love meant showing up even when it was hard. She was applying the right values to the wrong person. That's not a character flaw. That's a mismatch. The real work after something like this isn't learning to trust other people. It's learning to trust yourself again, to rebuild the self-concept that got quietly traded away, to remember what you actually like, what you actually think, what you actually want, before someone else's needs become the answer to every question. So she's doing that now. It took time. It still takes time. But she said something recently that I keep thinking about. She said, I thought leaving was the hardest part, but the hardest part was remembering that I was worth leaving for. Here's what I want you to take from this. If you've ever stayed somewhere longer than you should have, a relationship, a job, a friendship, and you've asked yourself why you didn't leave sooner, stop blaming yourself for that. You stayed because something in you believed in what it could be. That's not weakness, that's hope. And hope is not the problem. The problem is when you start funding someone else's potential with your own identity. When you make yourself smaller to make someone else feel bigger. When keeping the peace becomes more important than keeping yourself. You cannot love someone into treating you right. You can only decide what you'll accept and what you won't. And the moment you decide you're worth more than what you've been accepting, that's when everything starts to change.